I don't think government is doing that bad a job. I think government does a pretty darn good job considering how big government is and considering how many difficult problems it has to address. I don't see what Washington's done that's that terrible. I don't understand the rage against Washington.
That was on Friday, and I did not have time to hash that out with Ben Stein. So, well, we'll debate it now. To Gina Loudon and Christy Setzer. Gina, government, it's big, but it's not too big, and it's, according to Ben Stein, doing a pretty good job.
All I can think of is he is somehow very insulated, Charles, because apparently he hasn't flown on the TSA lately because they can't find a bomb, but they can frisk a little old lady. And I guess he hasn't probably had to do his own taxes lately because you call the IRS to ask a question, there's no way you can get an answer, but they're really good at going after conservatives. You know, there's no possible way that anyone who doesn't live in a bubble could think that the government is in any way efficient these days.
You know, Christy, not only is it inefficient, but it's large, it's bewildering, and it sucks more and more money out of the economy. The bigger big government is as a part of the GDP, the less the private sector thrives, and we're seeing that over the last few years.
That's certainly not the case. Again, our economy has continued to thrive. We've had, what, 70 months now of positive job growth. But again, I don't really think it's a
political talking point, but do you look the average person in the face?
Yeah.
I'll let you finish, but I just want to ask, when you say we've never had a great quarterly GDP, our yearly GDP has been terrible. It's considered the worst post-recession recoveries in history. So I know there's ways of finding these bullet points, but can you honestly say that to the average American whose paycheck is less than it was, that things are great?
I think the question that you had posed is whether we think that government should be bigger or smaller, and I don't really think that's the question. I think the question is whether we're doing things effectively. And look, I think that the Obama administration in particular has proved that we can do big things. Look, for example, at the Affordable Care Act, which, as you know, Republicans have tried to block 50-plus times, are still trying to block it, et cetera. And at the same time, we've now given 11 million people health care, right? So that's showing that government can be effective, can do big things. You know, I think that that's whether government is big or small. We just want to see them being efficient and effective.
Although, Gina, a majority of these health care exchanges on the Obamacare have closed down or gone bankrupt. The others will eventually. Insurance companies are now fleeing it. You know, United Health and Aetna saying, hey, you know what, this thing is killing us. And the enrollment is nowhere near where people thought it would be. I just think that you've got an economy where government is so big, so robust, that it's hard for the private sector to evolve.
And let's not forget that health care costs under Obamacare have increased 35%. And, oh, by the way, you can't keep your doctor. And that was the one promise from the get-go. Anything government does, the bigger it gets, the more inefficient it gets. That's like a perfect law of economic physics, Charles. It's the most ridiculous assertion in the world to say that when a bureaucracy grows, it somehow gets to do big things. I guess if big things is keeping Hillary out of trouble by the DOJ, then that's big things. If big things is failing consistently to take care of the average American's needs, to be able to even answer, you can't call the IRS if you're having problems on your taxes, Charles, and actually get an answer. I mean, people know that government doesn't work well when it's big, and that's why so many things that government's doing should be privatized.
Christy, last word to you.
Yeah, I think we're sort of missing the point here. I think when most people talk about government being too big, they're talking about things, first of all, that don't actually cost us much money. They sort of misdirect the argument to things like Social Security and Medicare, and don't actually talk about the things that we do spend a ton on, like our defense programs. So, you know, I'm not really sure that I think we're having the right debate here.
Well, you know, that's the one thing Obama has made smaller is our defense. There's no doubt about it. But you do have to ask, how do you get $19 trillion in debt, $7 trillion under President Obama if government's not too big? We got to leave it there, though, guys. Really appreciate it.